Welcome back to another episode of Launch Your Light, a podcast for the mystical and magical woman here to share her soul purpose. All right, guys, I am so excited today. I have on one of my sisters from another universe. She is a fellow Capricorn, star seed, light worker, shadow worker, leader, teacher, all the things. Ineze, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. This has been in the works for us for a while, and it has manifested in this form, which is so perfect. I'm like so excited. Like when we both come get together and talk, there's like magic and truth and all of the things healing. So I think this can be really helpful. Like I like your intention for this be something of assistance and help to others, like for the things that we're going through at this time on our planet. So
Yes.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, thank you.
This is so good. For anyone who is joining us that may have been part of our talks prior to this, Inez and I used to go live in our groups. Remember, we did that for years, I feel like. When things,
Yeah,
right?
we
And
did.
now look, it's turned into us getting this information out even deeper into the masses for people. So let's talk about our attention of us two getting together real quick for our listeners, understanding why we are coming together to do this. And I love how you just kicked it off with that. Like we are here to assist, both you and I,
Yeah.
our soul contracts, right? Because this is about launch your light, and this is I'm like the soul purpose gal. You and I are both firmly behind our soul purpose, and you do evolutionary astrology. So could you just talk about maybe what is evolutionary astrology real quick, or how that is different from I don't know, like some people just you'll get your chart done, your solar chart, or you know what I'm saying? Like, can you just explain that to them better than I am right now? LOL.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love when we get together how energy is like really serious, really deep and fun at the same time. Like it's just the best thing ever. Yeah, so there's different kind of ways of astrology and nothing is wrong or right. It's just like every person like gravitates towards like a different type of like wisdom tool or wisdom system. So evolutionary astrology has a very strong spiritual component. So there it's not like very boxed in. It's it kind of focuses on you as a seed of the potential. There's a spiritual depth aspect, like there's reincarnations, there's past lives, there's like Pluto is a soul level where what we have been working on several lifetimes, like our chart can explain that energy, so it goes really deep. And I am Pluto in the first house, Scorpio moon, so I'm all about like depth, shadow work, light work, all of these like multidimensional parts of who we are. Not just we're not just like this human flesh. So this astrology goes, which why I like it. It goes deep. It can go in many different directions, and I use channeling as well, which is like in my sessions and wherever I talk about it. So yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. I think it just puts like it illustrates, it illuminates the depth that you can go in your chart. You know, that you can go into this like understanding of who you are and what you came here to be. And you are like, I've been getting my chart read by you for years. And right before we started recording, guys, I'm like, I need another session. Let's just get another session on the books because it's so helpful as someone on the planet who's like, oh my God, I'm creating these things. I'm doing these things. Like, what's happening to me? And this is being activated. And oh, look, I'm looping around and doing this, and I'm karmically tying up loose ends here. And can you tell me what's going on in my chart, please? Right? It's like so fascinating to have it reflected back to you and be like, oh, I'm not going crazy right now.
100%. Like I love when people come back like with this. There is this huge like aspect of validation when we are on the right path. Like even, especially for star season light workers, and like when we like us, like people like us who will probably be like called to listen to this, we sometimes can feel like crazy. It's like because we take paths like roads less traveled, and we sometimes don't have that confirmation. So the chart and looking at the going deeper into your chart, you can be like, okay, I am on the right path. Like it gives you this strong aspect of validation, which like for me, it's like it puts me at peace. It's like, okay, and I can see what it does for other people. It's like, okay, it just ignites that light to like keep going and keep working on things, even though they sometimes, like, it can be scary and they don't some choices might not make sense, but if they feel good on a soul level, then the chart can really validate that, and that can be really healing. It can be expansive, it can give you courage and all of those things. And that's the part of evolution. Like, that's why the word evolution, like, it's like we are evolving, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
So
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. So for anyone who's also so excited, this is what we're going to be doing. Her and I are going to be gathering and getting together at the end of each month and preparing this call for what's ahead in the next month. So
yeah.
stay on and listen to this episode because we will be getting into June. And
Mhm.
I also kind of temporarily naming these episodes with Ineza, What in the World with Ineza and Jayme, because we're not just going to talk astrology. The astrology will help back up, explain, and express what we're feeling on the planet right now, energetically, spiritually. You and I are both big, I would say, leaders and advocates for breaking down this like spiritual war we have going on right now, which is within the light and the dark. And we've been preparing for this. You and I have been talking about this with many other light workers on the planet for years. Right. And
Yeah.
now it's like right in our face. And I think people are really looking for leaders who will go there right now, who will talk about it. Right. And even though that is happening, it's also happening within us. There's a lot of healing on the planet right now. Right.
Yeah. It's
There-
going.
There's a lot of like tying up loose ends. We're going to talk about that today on the call. Karmic clearing and ending. There's a lot going on. So I think there is a thirst and a craving and a need for people who will talk about these things. So each month we're going to help break down some of the intensity people are feeling, some of the healing people are feeling, some of the
Mhm.
activations and initiations that cosmically we're being supported on and on this good green earth being supported on, right? Oh, I just love all the things. So, with that being said, basically to anyone that is listening with us, we're going to show up. Her and I are committing to showing up at the beginning of each month so that you can look at, the month ahead and go, "All right, cool. This is kind of what I can look forward to, or I understand this a little bit more." Go ahead.
Yeah, and this is like, it gives you also sometimes when we're moving into, because there's teams that are more like changing, which is personal smaller planets, but then there's like big planets like Neptune and Pluto, where movements and shifts and changes go throughout years, and we can see it out like on a planet. So it also gives kind of like the, okay, I understand, like maybe where there's cruelty and violence and destruction and some things like crumble, like we can see it, not taking away from pain and suffering, but seeing also like the bigger picture of what things that are happening, and understanding like astrologically, because astrology is kind of like a map that we can see and understand these things.
Right. In the first one of the last episodes I just did was talking about the early chapters in my book, and there's whole sections in it being like, we chose this. We chose this lifetime, right? And we chose this powerful point. And I think so many people feel, I don't want to, what's another word, but like they feel weak. They feel
A
invalid,
victim, when we go
unworthy.
victim, yeah.
Yeah, victim. They feel unworthy. Why am I alive right now? How can I help? Who am I? What can I do? And it's like spiritually, when you can pull off that, you're like, we're actually these like really powerful, badass beings that came here specifically for now. I believe if you're alive now, you're here for a reason. So I feel like the work you do kind of backs up that truth.
Yeah, because like, so in even in my personal sessions and all, I was just like processing how to answer, because often going to, like, let's say a lot of people are in a, so what I wanted to say is like, we are powerful, and also understanding and learning and acknowledging and taking responsibility from going from the victim of why it is happening to me and being overwhelmed. And then also understanding that it all starts within, it all starts individually. It's not like looking at, oh, I can't do anything because it's too big. It will always start within, always start with yourself. Like even little things, changing yourself. Like that's also what Pluto and Aquarius is going to teach us, like how we see like bigger structures crumbling, and how it's up to individual to release that victim mentality and learn about our power, understand our responsibility of ourselves and what we can do in the world then. Because when we start from there, because sometimes world can, and the events can feel overwhelming, and for someone like me who is extra empathic, extra empathic. Anyways, it's like I can feel the pain, but at the same time, it can activate something in me that triggers an activation that I can figure out, okay, what can I do? Like, even if it's a little bit, like we start somewhere and then we join with others, like we are joining together. Like, so it always starts within us.
Mhm.
I don't know if I kind of responded to what you were saying, but I did my best.
Perfect. That's where we'll just banter back and forth and everyone's here for it. Also,
Yeah,
that's what I express a lot in my writing. These are activating times, right?
very
This
much
wasn't
so.
going to be some like walk in the park. And different people are activated by different things.
Hmm.
And that soul spark that happens inside when you are activated by what you're witnessing across the world or in your home, right?
Yeah,
It,
everywhere. Like your life experience can be a one big activation from when you are born. Like well, as in my case, it's just like a never ending and like from my personal experience, I have been quite aware of like, okay, I'm here on a mission, I have to do this, I always wanted to be in service. But there have been times when it has been hit after hit when I was like, I'm so angry and so tired that I can't do anymore. And then there's going deeper into surrender and surrendering the ego. And it's like a little excerpt of what like some people might experience. Like, but we do, and going back to what you said on a soul level, when we decide to incarnate at this time, this is extremely exhilarating time on us for the soul, but it's very deeply teaching. There's a lot of suffering and pain that like activations can like still happen in a bigger way through suffering and pain. Even though we are moving into direction through growth, through joy, still a lot will be happening through suffering and pain in our world, because we're still moving through, like, we are in a, not in a beginning, but somewhere in the beginning of ascension process. So this is a one continuous ascension process an activation that will next generations will go through as well, and implement that. So this like it goes, but in going back, yes, to understand and go deeper, like, and ask questions when things seem overwhelming and you're tired and you don't know how to get out of somewhere. It's in a way you give up, but it's a surrender to the soul. And then once we do, like, it's like giving up the ego, giving up the fear, giving up in a way like what we're supposed to be, so that we can become who we are meant to be. And often it's like really being cracked, like into going into underworld and facing the demons and doing the shadow work and all of that. Okay, I'm going into many different, maybe
great.
like,
This is great because the name of this podcast is Launch Your Light, and we can't do that without doing what you just said, right? It's like,
absolutely, 1,000,000%. We can't. Sorry, just
go for
because
it.
often spiritual, like when people think about spirituality, and I see these memes, and it's just like, oh, like, no, 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 no. You are down in the mud with the demons. You
Yeah.
are like losing your mind, and you are facing the dragon. You
Yeah.
are, and it's not no joke. There's no dipping into spirituality and choosing the spiritual path and then like, oh, I'm gonna go back, and like, no, like it's a complete like evisceration of your like false ego, of your fears, of your beliefs, of all of that, so that
Mhm.
you can access the light. But
Mhm.
it's not I will tell you from my experience, it's, it is it is, I don't even have words to describe it. One day I'll write about it, but it's
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Oh, I know everyone is having their own chuckle and giggle here. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be on this podcast, right? You wouldn't be listening to this unless you were energetically ready to receive anything I just wrote about or anything you're talking about, right? And it's almost like we need our own um like an anonymous group who can talk about like it's almost like the Dark Night of the Soul anonymous group or something, you know what I mean?
I think so. I think let's see what, like, when people are listening to this and comment wherever you're listening, um, what's your experience? And if you would like to join a community, like where we can talk about this, like that could be something that we create for the future.
Yes. And also, guys, I just added a text your show host link in these notes. So now you guys can text me. So this is the type of information we want to hear. If her and I were going to put like a little group together where we could just really go deeper with energy and astrology, would you want to be part of it? So let us know. Okay. You can text me in the show notes.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and just like to share experiences and like just yeah, I think it would be really beautiful and healing, like a medicine.
Yeah.
Deep soul medicine for people that are kind of on this path but maybe feel lonely. And because when you go through dark night of the soul, often when we choose that path and we kind of, there is this like isolation period, and it can be very scary to do this on your own. So if you find this podcast, like, then maybe we are your people. So that it's always so incredibly helpful to be supported through going through awakening, going through dark night of the soul, because it's a lot. It's very intense.
Could you explain if both of us explained a little bit, just real quick, about what you consider the dark night of the soul to be, and then I'll do it too, just so that if anyone who's listening right now going, "Oh my God, what are they talking about? That sounds intense."
I
It is.
think I think I mentioned this partially in the previous bits that I shared. Um, so for me, um, it's kind of like I don't know. It's like a really long answer, so I want to make it like shorter. So it's when you follow your path, there's gonna be parts of you that no longer can no longer coexist, like your ego and your, like, let's say vanity, or like the kind of false ideas, and your real self, like the real soul level self. If you seriously consider doing your soul work and you want to be authentic and fulfilled, which is, some people have that urge more, like light workers, like they have this mission inside. But often, because we are born in a certain situation, we absorb beliefs and our family and programming, and that is often really detrimental. Or we come from something toxic and we learn about a part of ourselves, and often it's false because we have learned about, okay, this is me. And so going through the dark night of the soul is destroying all that you're not. But it will often feel like you're losing yourself, like you're losing your mind, because it's like your beliefs are being going to be questioned. Like when you go through doctor, oh, you question everything. You question, why am I here? Why my family is like this? Why this pain? Why the world is the way? So you basically question everything. Is that making sense?
Oh,
So you go through facing fears, facing really deep fears, facing it. Like in my case, it was addiction, it was shame. It can be toxic shame. It can be all of these deep things that in order to become truly embodied and whole, it's not about being all positive and that's nothing to do with it. That's not light work. That's not spiritual path. It's really about facing all the dark that is in yourself and in the world, which is not really separate. Like we are, as a humans, when we come, we encompass all, like the dark and the light. So often most people will go through life not wanting to, because it's so uncomfortable to face our shadow and our darkness, that most people stay in that kind of like in that space where, and it's fine. And a big part of our humanity, they're in their own journey and they will not go there. But like light workers and starseeds and people who want to carry kind of this, carry the light work in the future. I don't know if that makes sense, but like we need to face the darkness.
yeah,
So that's kind of, does that make sense?
it does.
That's how that's the simplest way that I can kind of explain. Okay.
The way I explain it to people is essentially, and it's just different words for the same stuff you're saying, right?
Yeah.
It's falling away, ending, death, rebirth experience, right? Where you almost like lose everything.
Hmm.
You know, so much is like crumbling and being taken away from you and loss, and it shows up everywhere. You can like
Yeah.
lose friends, lose jobs, lose marriages, lose relationships, lose houses, lose locations, lose children. Like, oh my God, like the pulling away and the pulling apart. And I just say that because that will trigger a lot of that will happen, that will trigger a dark night of
Yeah.
the soul for people. And
Yeah, I
even
just got full body goosebumps when he said that. That is so true. That is
right,
true.
like
That is
what
like
the
it's
fuck?
like it pulls away everything.
And it does it, and it because it's like it's the pull away for you to become face to face with that core source you, right? It's like
Mhm.
really that like facing thyself, becoming thyself. And like you said, it's like it is absolutely a crumbling of the structures and the constructs and the belief systems and the boxes we've been put into and the training and the learning and the programming. It rips it all away so that you're like in the room with yourself.
Exactly. And
And that's it.
it's scary because there's so much darkness, but there's so much light. And like we when and being faced with our power scares us because we don't really want to know how powerful we are because then we have there it's connected to responsibility. And
Yes.
when we are ready to say like when we face that there's more with more power comes more responsibility. It's like kind of this message has been in like into the back like when I'm going through things. So I was like, yeah, I'm ready. That's
Yeah.
why I have been through so deep dark.
And even though it's called the Dark Night of the Soul, and I forget what mystic coined it that, but like a mystic from 500 years ago, I can't remember which one, like literally like a Catholic mystic or something in Europe.
I could not sell as well.
I
I don't
can't remember
well, pull it.
one.
Yeah.
Maybe they turned into a saint, maybe they didn't. I don't freaking know. Don't quote me on any of this, but it's actually like the deepest soul healing you can experience on the
I
planet.
love it. Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yes, that was the coined term was the dark night of the soul, because it does feel like that. And I think that's just the like staying with an integrity on
Yeah.
understanding the depth of what you're experiencing in a dark night of the soul. Okay, now that we kicked off the show with that, LOL. See how I
Sorry, just like, okay, Saint John of the Cross. No,
yes,
had
okay.
no idea. Had no idea. I just like because like my ADHD immediately needs, otherwise it can't be calm. Just I need to to figure out.
Good. No, that we need that on the show. We need
Yeah.
that. And now so anyone can know. See, so it was like a mystic talked about this many moons ago. Um,
Mystic and Spanish mystic and poet. Yeah.
hmm, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we had to kick off with that because right now, as someone who's a leader, teacher, speaker for light workers on the planet, writing books, hosting podcasts about this, teaching about the spheres, I can see, witness, and observe that there are millions of people going through this right now. And there are millions more who will step into this. So, really, this is an ignition, an activation, and a calling up of those of us that have been through it to lead and not even I'm not even saying it needs to be a job or a work position. It's an embodiment, right, of the
Absolutely.
frequency and the energy of someone who's done it. That's what we need right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And people are who are still going through. And like you said, it doesn't have to be like you don't have to become this any you have just have to become you.
Yeah.
You can be a person working in a supermarket and
Yes.
and be a leader and lead by example. You can be anything anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's not like sometimes people think, oh, sole purpose, I have to become this guru, like, or I don't know. No, like everybody has their own journey, and you can be just the simplest person. I mean, you meet someone like that, it's like they just emanate light, but they work in a little restaurant where you go and it like
Or
they make the world better and people go there because it's healing. That's that like that's another like the sole purpose kind of explanation. Anyways.
no, it's good because also it's like you know, lawyers to hospital workers to care workers to it like that activation, that healing is a frequency, it's a vibration that you emanate, and you will activate others in the room with you, in the
Yeah.
industries, in the buildings you're in, anywhere you go, right? And if you're someone who like I know there's different, we can get into a whole nother topic about auras, and those of us that have attracting magnetic auras and those that kind of have repelling auras, and we don't need to get into that now. But for those of you that have felt this, you know, when you like walk into a room and there's someone in there that just cannot be in the same room as you, like they energetically can't
All
handle.
the time, all the time.
So that's why I'm
People
saying
are
that.
disturbed by light so
Yeah.
easily, and I can't like we can't take it personal anymore. Like I used to, but not anymore.
Okay, so now that we've gone that far and deep and beautifully, I want to ask you some of the transits for June. Which of the transits do you feel that, because I think it's the whole Piscean one you were talking about, this like karma clear, or you tell me where you want to go, but I feel like you have transits right now that you're going to share with us that express maybe where people will be going into in this like June Gemini season vibe.
Yeah. So basically there's two really big themes. So we are now not freshly, like Sun entered the Gemini seasons from May 20th, and then we have Venus in Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini, and then Mercury enters Gemini on Mercury, no, 3rd of June, sorry. Anyways, so the bigger themes is like, so the bigger kind of activations and themes that we will feel it's Gemini and Pisces. So they're both mutable. So I'm going to start with the Pisces. So Saturn is going through Pisces, and there's going to be a slowdown in energy because Saturn is going to station retrograde and turn retrograde in the end of June. But the whole month, there is like this, and Pisces is the end of zodiac. So we are kind of learning the lessons, is the ending and kind of finessing the lessons we have been learning over the last 30 years. And yeah, so because like it goes like from Aries to Pisces, and then in Pisces is the endings, is we learn the lessons, we let go of like, so this month is going to be, even though there's acceleration and a lot of mind action, which I will talk about, which is the Gemini energy and all the planets and Jupiter being for the next year in Gemini, there is a different energy where the Pisces and the Saturn is slowing down, and this is intentional slowdown and kind of like also going within and seeing what needs to be removed, what needs to be phased out, what needs to be let go so that we can kind of move into the next. And also Neptune is hanging out, like I said in the beginning, what we talked about before. Neptune is at the 9th degree of Pisces, which is like this complete surrender. It's the void, and it will hang out there for the whole month. And Neptune takes 164 years to go through. So not all of us will experience Neptune. So it takes 14 years. So for the past 14 years, it's been in Pisces. But we are like at the culmination and it's like, so it's a complete like an exhale, a complete like release, a void state. We are hanging in surrender in a way where there is like, so many people will feel like there's, over the past 15 years, we can have deep karmic lessons, like other timelines of other lifetimes. So we've been like tired of the healing. We might be so exhausted from the healing and the lesson, like we think it's over. But for the last 15 years on our planet, we've been going through soul endings and karmic lessons and karmic endings and this deep cellular cleaning of the other lifetimes. And that's what's kind of going back to, like, that's what's needed. Like, we need to clear out karma. We need to up level, like, I don't know, it feels like clearing out and then going to the next level so that we can be clear and not carry all the baggage from our ancestors, let's say, and carry and learn the gifts and carry the gifts.
Can I say that that is step one of taking on more light in your energetic body, in your physical field, and in your cell tissues, right? So when I do a lot of like helping people activate their light body, it sounds adorable, doesn't it? It's this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like you cannot take on more light in your body, in your home, in your family, in your work if you aren't going to move that shit out. And
Exactly.
globally, we're seeing this happen because so many, I have friends that are like, spiritual people, and they're like, can't we all just get along? Can't everyone just like understand that they're this divine being? And like, can't we all just like focus on the light and the love? And I'm like, I mean, that's adorable and it's beautiful. And I understand where people are coming from when they're like, but we actually haven't cleaned out what you just said. We haven't
Mm-hmm.
cleaned out the ancestral karmic baggage. We haven't cleared up the mass deaths we've seen. We haven't cleared up
They are
genocide.
still happening as we speak.
They're
Like that,
still
like
happening. Right. It's like, so the earth, the consciousness of the earth is going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, yeah, we're here, the ascension. She's walking us through this ascension with us, right? But we can't take on more light, any more cosmic light until we clear this shit up.
mhm.
What we're seeing in the world right now is we're finally looking at it. And we're seeing all the webs of connection, right? And we're seeing what we've lost, what's been consumed by darkness. We need to do that first
Yeah.
before we can call on the light. And it's a simultaneous thing, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like this is the veils are down. The veils, the
Mhm.
masks are off, the veils are down. And sorry, I just had to that just fucking
No, this is so perfect. Like this is so perfect. I'm looking at my notes as you speak, but I'm like I love that you mirror back what I'm saying with your like it's perfect. Yeah, I completely agree. Like all this work, like this feels like this constant work, the soul lessons that like we feel like okay, it's over, I'm done, and then there's another and another and another. So we have been feeling that for the last 15 years, more and more. So now it's kind of we are. I do feel like there's a lot of us and a lot of my spiritual, not spiritual friends, just friends. All my friends are spiritual. No, but people who, yeah. Anyways, there is that moment and kind of like there's like, okay, what's next? And we don't see what's next because we are hanging in a void. Like there's that 29 degrees is we are hanging in a void and surrender, and we're learning trust. We're learning how to trust. And that's been a really deep lesson, both with Pluto and the Neptune, where we are letting go everything, but there's like the new ground is not there yet. But
yeah.
so we're learning to trust and take the next step. So that's kind of that energy as well.
I think people hate that part.
Mhm.
I think people hate that part. Like
People
that's people are so frustrated with that.
and
This is
afraid.
like let and afraid. This is like those last few days before you give birth, right? Where
Mhm.
you're like, get this kid out of me. What is this gonna be like? Is it coming now? You know what I mean? Like, will I survive?
Yeah.
This is
Will
the
I survive is real as well.
this is
Yeah.
the last few weeks of winter where you're like, oh, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind if the sun doesn't come out and it doesn't warm up, right? That's what people are feeling right now, right? Those are like
It's
real
true.
earth
Yeah.
examples of this like cosmic, this void. Can you, when does that move into the next, like, when is that void, that moving into the next sign degree phase happen?
That's what I was thinking in my head. So I think it's this year when it's but I should have looked it up. I don't know
Oh,
the
sorry.
date.
Sorry. I like to ask these. I've been
I will put it in a show notes
That's all right. No,
about the
make
day.
them. No, they have to come to another episode. LOL. Come
Yeah,
to our next
like
episode.
the last time you asked me about how long Pluto. So I put all the dates now because astrology is so many dates. So no astrologer can carry like all the dates. That's why we have like things like there's no way I can remember all the dates. So the Pluto, like answer to your last time when you asked me, the Pluto is going to be in Aquarius until 2044. So
And
that's
okay. And isn't Pluto currently retrograde back in Capricorn for its last final days before it fully shifts direct
last few months.
in the fall,
So
right? It shifts direct fully, full on in Aquarius, like in the fall, September, October, something?
November 19th.
Okay.
So it's gonna be back in Capricorn, September to November, there's gonna be that final lesson, final
Oh, okay.
symboling, final death,
Oh,
September, November, and
Jesus.
then it goes into Aquarius like for to stay for the next 20 years. Yeah, 20 next. Pluto has an elliptic orbit, so it can stay from 14 to 30 years in one sign, so it changes. That's why I was like, okay, because other signs stay like exactly the same time, but not Pluto. It's just like one sign is 30, one sign is 15. So
And what we're like, we'll talk about this in future episodes, is like,
yeah.
as that transit comes, and guys, keep listening, because as you can see, this is why you need an astrologer. This is why we need to have these conversations, is because, yeah, we got Pluto in Aquarius, baby, coming up for 20 years. This is the mother effing revolution. Like, this is it. We came here for this revolution. Call it whatever revolution you want. But this is that new age, that love revolution. But we are in the depth of it right now. And that's what we're feeling. Okay, before I get carried away in my friggin' revolutionary standpoint, and you have there in your and behind you right now. But okay, keep going with the
In what we have?
Neptune. We can do another like 10-15 minutes. So yeah, go into whatever transit you want. I just get all carried.
Yeah. So that's like, I think we kind of like, that's the kind of a shorter version of like, not shorter, but that's an insight into like that. And then so the other energy, the other bigger theme is Gemini. So we have Sun, Venus, Jupiter just entered 2 days ago for the next 12 years. So yes, 12 months. And I'm going to do a little bit more in-depth Jupiter in a minute. But like all these energies, like Gemini energy is very mind activating. So we're going to be communicating. It's going to be, so also the house is going to be, if your chart is going to be the area of your life that's going to be activated. So I looked at yours is going to be the seventh house of relationships is going to be activated, of collaborations, relationships. So that's for you.
Yeah.
But so you can look at and if someone wants to find out, like, you can always contact me as well and do and find out. So the Gemini energy, it's very active, it's very like learning new things, like, so there's a good higher expression of Gemini is learning new things, like being more active, learning, creating new networks, networking with new people, being more adaptable, flexible. So there's going to be throughout the next months, like where while the sun moves through Gemini, which is from the May 20 until June 20. So there's a lot of information exchange, a lot of learning. So maybe learning new skills, but the shadow aspect is we can get lost in a mind. So it's really important to also ground through this, because it can be like we can become overwhelmed because there's so much. Our mind will be like open to a lot of information, so we can become like overcharged, overstimulated. And that's where sometimes that Pisces energy will kick in, where you will want to connect completely, like disconnect from everything, from the world, and just sleep. So these two energies will like exchange within the planet, and depends like how is your personal chart. You will feel one more or maybe the other, or they will fluctuate because it's a mutable energy. There's gonna be a lot of shifts and changes. So let's say the plan's gonna be made, like, so having also a lot of patience for yourself and others, because we can be like overbooked. We can be overbook ourselves, and people can cancel things, plans then don't go as we want, or there's like overbooking. All of these things, there's a lot of activity. And for the person that have let's say, depending on your Mercury as well, if you have air signs, a lot of air signs in a chart, or Mercury in an air sign, then it's kind of easier for you. But the other, like earth signs or Mercury in a air or earth or water, can be quite overwhelmed. So it's important to ground and to do everything, like to disconnect, like to regularly disconnect, like even for your mental health, for everything, to be really mindful of how you consume information. Also, Gemini shadow can be gossip, can be just like absorbing, scrolling, doom scrolling, all of that, and that's not good for you. So it's really a mindfulness is also needed through this time. And also the Pisces energy and that Neptune and Saturn will help us to like, we will want to like, there's going to be times or days when you completely have to disconnect and just nap and sleep because it's just too overwhelming.
I think we need to highlight that right there, because people need to hear that, right? We're in this
Yeah.
obsessive, cyclical, connected, nonstop, incessant form of information coming at us. There's like so much. We just tap into these little devices on our hands and we're connected to I learned this in marketing. There's like, something like 4 billion bits of new information hit in the world every day. Like,
Yeah, it's insane in a way.
whoa. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so how many of us, because like I'm in America recording this, you're in Europe, they're both still Western worlds. I know Europe is much different than America, but like in America, it's like if you are not go, 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 work, 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 you are unworthy in society. You know what I mean? So we as Americans really need to have that like rest as a revolution. You know what I mean? And that ability to
Completely.
disconnect and to take care of yourself. And for any energy sensitive, and energy sensitives is what Lee Harris, right? I'm blanking on his name right now. I love him. Lee Harris, right? He calls us
Yeah, Lee Harris. Yeah.
energy sensitives, and I love that because
Hmm.
we are so sensitive to the world, to our the grid, the globe, all of it. And
Yeah.
so anyone who's hearing that right now, here is your permission slip. Take the day off,
Yeah.
turn the laptop off, lay down.
Phone off, everything off.
Go take your book and go to the beach. Go sit in a freaking meadow. Do what you gotta
Oh my
do.
God. Like it's just like that's the medicine. That's the healing. Like because we need still a lot of healing throughout all our lives, all of us who are on a planet. So we have to remember to disconnect to no matter like the pressure and all of that. Sorry, did I if I interrupted you?
No, no,
But
keep
yeah.
going. Yeah, no, okay.
I just saw like the image in like the meadow, sitting in a grass is like, oh my God, yes. Because
Yeah,
the earth will heal you. Go sit anywhere in the beach, in the grass, just outside.
yeah. Okay, I didn't mean to. I think I interrupted you, LOL, when you were
Oh,
about to get into the Jupiter information.
yeah, just to end this Jupiter, because this is the biggest kind of transit of the June that we will feel. And it's Jupiter entering Gemini. It's coming out from Taurus. Like Jupiter spends in each sign 12 months. So we had 12 months in Taurus where we learned about which was expanding or building like security, stability, like work, like very steady and focused, and kind of can be single-minded a little bit and stubborn, which helped us to build kind of these foundations. And now Gemini is going to activate our mind. Gemini is mental activation, new ideas, new perspectives, learning skills, new information. So it's kind of helping to expand these foundations and go out in the world and network and find our soul tribe and implement these ideas and learn the skill maybe you need for these plans you have laid in Taurus and build this foundation. So now so Gemini blesses and expands, and so whatever house in your chart is Gemini, it's going to be expanded. There's going to be information. You're going to learn things, new things, and doors open, and there's opportunity. So because Jupiter is benefic, so it blesses that part of the chart. Um, yeah.
I
Is
think
there
how
anything?
perfect, can I just say, how perfect is it?
Hope
You
with your
said this earlier.
podcast. Yeah.
The podcast was that I launched this after people have asked me to put my own podcast out for years. I have been asked to be a co-host and have co-hosted other podcasts 5 times in my life. Like, and I was just like, no, not yet. Ooh, not feeling it. Ooh, not yet. Ooh, right. Boom. The like this whole Jupiter and Gemini, and then Gemini season. And then you said you were
Yeah.
looking up in my chart, right? It was like, it was finally time, and it just turned on by last Sunday. I don't even know. It was last Sunday. I just decided. I was like, Message received. It dropped in. I said yes. I signed up and had 3 episodes recorded and launched it by Thursday morning. Yes, I'm also a generator and I'm a Capricorn. Like, yes, I've got the motherfucking energy for it. But it's not even about that. It was that I was finally ready. The alignment was finally
Yeah.
there. And now, and you and I had talked about having our own. And now look, we're already recording this episode for it. Like, it was like boom, 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 boom. And I'm expressing that because a lot of people might be feeling this right now. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You are ready and it is time is a slogan I use a lot in this work. And these are time capsules, right? When you all of a sudden maybe you've been preparing for years or thinking about something for years and it's going to drop in, sister friend, right? And you're just going to have to go with it.
Yeah. And this can also be, this can be an activation. And there's always this time, like you said, when things happen and you feel that push and things click, that's the right timing. Because sometimes people can, like, maybe sometimes people think, okay, I'm behind, but that's another point. But sometimes things have to come into alignment and there has to be a divine like alignment with everything. Then it's easy. That means you're right on time. This podcast is right on time because it aligned in a perfect alignment with the sky and with you and with all the energies. So that information has to come out now, and your book. So I think it's brilliant. Also, it teaches also how we are not behind as well. So, but that activation, like the energy of Gemini, is about sharing information, networking. So these kind of things, if they are coming up, that's the time. Like sharing, writing, publishing, um, all these kind of communication, networking, like everything I'm mentioning over and over again. But this is the energy that we'll experience for the next 12 until June 9, I think. I don't know where are my dates. I think June next year. So we have 1 year to really go deep into learning, networking, and this is also this is blessing. So like being open to opportunities. So these are opportunities to learn, to network. So when you ask me, I was like, yes, this feels good. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And all the people that I'm going to have on this show, and I already have a running list of those who are asking me to be on it, and I'm putting out my groups like, who wants to be on it? I'm like, I want to do one of these a week. Like, that's how busy I'm going to be with it. You know,
Yeah.
once a month. Like, I've got to be interviewing someone like once a week with this list that I've got going. And and then yesterday I just signed up to be part of I joined this big networking group and signed up for it, which I had been in the group for years. And then finally it just felt like, yes, I'm ready for this. I'm ready. Like, I've come out of my postpartum cave now too. Like, I've got the energy, and there's like 40,000 women that I can connect with in just one of the groups that I added to. So it was just like,
Yeah.
oh, this feels good. This feels right. So I'm wondering after
Yeah.
it's this Jupiter and Gemini that I'm really feeling right now with all these activations.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. You and I could go on for hours and hours and hours. But at this point, we just want to obviously share with you guys how excited we are to share this information and to support you on your journey. So, Ineza, why don't you talk about how they can get in touch with you? And you're going to have information in the show notes, but what's it like to work with you?
So you just reach out to me. We figure it out. No, no. No, I work in personal sessions. Like I work with astrology, I work with healing, activations, meditation journeys, clearings, all of that. But mainly it's based on your chart. All my work is based on charts. So you can have an individual session or the main thing I am working with now is mentoring with stars, which is a subscription, which you can work with me it's the most affordable thing I've ever created, and it's not going to stay the same price for long because I think it's just but you can work monthly with me on a regular basis with your chart, with all these different things, whatever you need at that time, which is like clearings, activations, and just with the help of your chart.
Ooh,
That's kind of what's the main thing.
that's awesome. Okay, so they can get readings with you, but then they can also this really cool mentoring with the stars.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. All right, so we will put those links in the show notes for everyone, okay?
Mhm.
Do you have
Thank
anything
you.
else you want to add about June for them before we send them off into the world?
I think that's what we shared is plenty. I
Yeah.
think remember to ground, be open to learning new things, but listen to your body. Like listen to where you when you need to stop, because there can be a lot of Gemini can bring a lot of overwhelm. So listen to the body, nap and sleep when you need. But I think the rest we already just spoke everything. And I think too much information sometimes is just like, I think we just gave a right amount.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel like this is a summer kickoff for the Northern Hemisphere. I don't know how many Southern Hemisphere people we have, but they're heading in the complete opposite direction, right? And this is just a beautiful, busy time, but also remember to take care of yourself. We have to take care of ourselves or we will crash, right? And that's like Gemini energy to the fullest, right? Like that personal responsibility to take care of yourself is going to be a big one over the next few years. So, all right.
Yeah.
I
Thank you
already,
so much.
what?
Thank you so much for having me. I so love these type of thing, doing this with you. Like
I know.
this just feels so fun and so expansive.
And her and I work together. We both do each other's stuff. And I help her with soul purpose and business, and she helps me with my astrology. So we will both most likely have had a session with each other before our next call. So I
Yeah.
can imagine what magic will come from both of those sessions. So, guys, get yourselves a mentor, get yourselves a coach, people. Get some help out there. It's wild. Wild there. What in the world? Okay, this has been a blast. I'm going to end this recording. I love you guys so much. Until the next episode, we will see you soon.